The world doesn't revolve around you. I don't know what to tell you. Let me grab it. I've got store credit. Bleh. Or whatever, and I find it silly. Well, hello. Welcome back to my channel. Just Shauna here to talk about some friggin' books and how I like to acquire them, how often, etc. via the book acquiring tag. This was originally created by Enter the Book. I wasn't able to find their original video down below, so I don't know if it was like done on a blog or what, but I will tag them down below. First question is, do you plan your book purchases ahead of time or do you impulse buy? I plan ahead on like highly anticipated books. I pre-order a fair amount of those more often than not. But aside from that, I kind of impulse buy, I would say. But yeah, I do a lot of pre-ordering for any of those. Any like highly anticipated, you know, like usually parts of a series, like book 2 or 3 or whatever of a series that I'm loving. That's when I feel like confident. Or sometimes books, like new first book in a series by an author I love, like something like that. I'll pre-order then as well. But yeah, most of the time, I usually am acquiring books when I unhaul and I go to the bookstore and I get trade-in credit, and I more often than not just like get new books right then. And I sometimes have like an idea of, oh, I'm looking for this one, but usually it's just kind of fly by the seat of my pants. Number 2, how do you decide which books to buy? Again, I try, try being very much the keyword, to buy sequels of books, of series that I'm liking, or books that I've already read that I know I enjoy and like see myself rereading. Does that always happen? No, not necessarily. But yeah, it's just books that I've seen around that I'm interested in. Maybe books that have been on my TBR for a while. I'm like, oh, I need to get to that at some point. Let me grab it. I've got store credit. Bleh. And then more often than not, I end up reading them and not liking them. So that's why I try not to do that. What is your philosophy on where you shop? Like online versus in person, large business versus small business, physical, audio, digital format, new versus old, etc. Like I said, I definitely use the local, like used bookstores more often than not, but not always. If I'm not going to use those to buy books, then I try to use bookshop.org if I'm buying online. I do go to Barnes & Noble sometimes, like the physical store, and I'll get books there too, but I go to the local like used bookstores way more frequently. So but yeah, shopping online, I do a fair amount of that. Bookshop.org, because I have it linked where it does benefit one of the local used bookstores changing hands. But you know, Amazon, yes, I do use Amazon from time to time. I mean, I use Amazon for Kindle for sure. And then I have Audible credit like every other month. I think I have it now. So I do that as well. And sometimes I get physical books from Amazon. But I try to only do that if I'm buying the physical book, if I can't find it in store and I can't find it on bookshop.org or like barnesandnoble.com, which ends up more often than not being like a self-published book that will be available there. But a lot of those are available on Barnes & Noble and bookshop.org now. So I always check, but I'm not going to lie and say I never use Amazon, because I do. Number 4, what about little free libraries? What do you think about them? Have you used one? Why or why not? I mean, I think they're great. I don't have any cons for them. They seem like a lovely thing to do. I have dropped off books at some little free libraries, like in my neighborhood, but I don't think I've ever actually grabbed a book from one. I've looked. I don't think I've found one. And it's not like a thing I do. I don't like go out and seek out little free libraries necessarily. So I'm sure if I did that more often, I could have found one, but it's just a couple of times that I have dropped off books at them. I've like looked and peeked and I don't know that I've ever found one, but they're great. Number 5, how do you feel about acquiring books? Do you share when you do, like a book haul or like a diary, a journal, etc.? I feel regarding buying books and acquiring books, if you are financially able to do so and buying the books brings you joy, then you should do that. And if you feel like sharing it, if you have a platform where you share these kinds of things, then share it. That's how I feel. If I see sometimes people like on Twitter and stuff, I've seen this discourse of like doing book hauls is mean, or like rubbing it in that other people can't, or whatever. And I find it silly. I simply do. Because, first of all, if someone is going broke buying books just for book hauls, why do you care? That's on them. Like, that's their problem, I guess, is how I feel about it. And none of your business, you know? Like, ultimately, it's not our business what someone is doing or not with their money, unless it's your spouse or something. But a person you're watching videos of, it's not our business. And if whether or not they are and whatever, they're buying new books, if it makes someone feel some kind of way, jealous, envious, they feel bad about themselves that they can't do that at the moment, I personally think that is a them issue. That's a you issue. If you feel that way when you watch a book haul, you feel mad, jealous, you feel bad about yourself now because they're doing something you can't do, the world doesn't revolve around you. I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's how I feel about it. It's like, people talk about this all the time. I've seen people talking about it more recently, like people doing that, like on Twitter or Instagram or whatever the platform is. Like someone being like, I walked to school today. And then people being like, what if you're not able to walk? What if you can't afford to go to school? How dare you post this? And it's like, dude, stop it. Stop it. The chick, it was like earlier this year, the woman who posted like, me and my husband spending hours in our garden with our tea and our coffee in the mornings, and it's so lovely. We just love each other. We talk. And like the whole internet was like pissed at this lady. I find it ridiculous. I'm sorry. I do. You know, if you do feel that way, like, I'm sorry, but, you know, work that out within yourself, because it's not anybody else's problem, I don't feel. Obviously, if people are going about it in a really, like, obnoxious way, if someone were to post a book haul being like, oh, look at, I'm rich, look at all my money, I'm just throwing these books in the trash because I don't even care about money. Like, yeah, that's fucking annoying. But again, just don't watch their videos then. That, like, ultimately, they don't owe us, like, behaving a certain way in that kind of context, so just stop watching. That's how I feel. So yeah, I do share my book hauls, and that's how I feel about it. Number 6, how do you feel looking at your books that you haven't read? Does it matter if it's currently a little or a lot as far as, like, the amount? I do always have it in the back of my mind of, like, wanting to keep my unread owned books under control, which for me simply means like a maximum of 25% of the books that I own being unread. If I start getting like 30, 40, 50% of the books I personally own that I've never read, I get like panicky a little bit. Not literally, but I just get like, oh God, what am I doing? Like, what is the point of this? No shade to anyone who feels differently, because once again, it's your own fucking library. You can do what you want. I know lots of people who have hundreds and hundreds of unread books on their shelves, who have most of their books on their shelves are unread, you know, and that makes them perfectly happy and fine and good for them. For me personally, about 25% is my max. I do try to keep it under that. And number 7 kind of leads into that. How do you decide what number of unread books is the right amount? And I mean, I do have space limitations currently, and that's part of the reason that I try to keep it under 25%, because like I have 5 shelves. They're not all full right now, but if they do get full, or when they do get full, there's not really too many other places in my house that I can set up whole bookcases. I just don't have that kind of space at the moment. So that is the biggest reason. But I also just like my bookshelves. Again, for me personally, my library, I like it to be books I've read and enjoyed and see myself rereading. So when I get to having a bunch that I've never even read it just like I said, a little bit of that like stress in my brain. Number 8, do you have a TBR game or process for reading them? I don't do TBRs. I mean, I have like loose, like, oh, that's one I want to get to, you know, once I finish these two, kind of TBR, but like I'm very much a mood reader and that changes frequently. NetGalley e-arcs are ones like that where I'm like, okay, I do need to pick this one up before this date, that kind of thing. But otherwise, I just kind of pick up whatever as I feel. And the last couple years, I have just set a goal every year of picking up at least 30 of my unread owned books. Whether that means I pick it up and I try it and I DNF it, or I pick it up and I look at it and decide, actually, I just want to unhaul this, or I pick it up and I fully read it. Any of those 3 things counts. So yeah, 30 is the goal that I have every year. Number 9 is, do you have a book buying problem? If so, what is the nature of it and can it be adjusted? I honestly don't think so. I do want to do a low buy year just in general in my life for next year, books included, simply because of what I was mentioning, having some space limitations. And just because I personally, for me, it's a little silly to be buying a bunch of books that I don't even know if I will like when I have such a kick-ass library system available to me with the Greater Phoenix library system. It's truly like very expansive. Most things are available there, and I've requested things before that they didn't have that they do end up getting. So, and between that and like my, you know, I have Kindle, so I can do Kindle Unlimited, or just cheaper ebooks because I get like the points, the reward points. NetGalley e-arcs, I have access to requesting that. Libro FM, I have a subscription for, and Audible. So between all these things, which that is spending money, I guess, but it's not adding physical books to my shelves. But between all these things, it's just, like I said, for me personally, I just think like it's a little silly to be spending, you know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, sometimes like $1,000 or more per year on the large majority books that I don't even know if I will like. It's just like, why do that, girl? Again, if people do that and don't care, good for you. It's everyone's personal choice. But yeah, I don't think it's a problem. Like, I'm not going broke for books, but it is something that I want to like keep a better eye on. Number 10 is to tag 2 to 3 others. You guys know, tag you're it if you want to do it. I'm not going to tag anyone. I suck at life. Hopefully this was enjoyable. If you want to answer any of the questions down below, give me a little overview of what your book acquiring habits are and how you feel about it. Do let me know. If you vehemently disagree with my rant in the middle of this about book hauls, let me know, and probably stop watching my videos because I do book hauls, but like and subscribe if you feel so inclined and you haven't already. As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.